Why did that teacher get fired from your school? Story 1. Two teachers. They got caught effing in the classroom. Opinion. This behavior breaches professionalism and trust, so the firing seems justified. How hard would it be to do it in a more appropriate place? Story 2. Students laughed because she ate toothpaste. Turns out she was an alcoholic trying to cover her breath. Opinion. This is tragic. And people still ask me why I don't drink. It would be funny if it wasn't tragic. Her dismissal was necessary for everyone's safety, I think. Story 3. My math teacher was a volunteer first responder in New York. She left school to help out during 9/11 and was fired for not showing back up for 2 weeks. Opinion. Man, that sounds really messed up. Her dedication as a first responder is commendable, and she shouldn't get fired over that. The ones responsible for firing her should be ashamed of themselves. Story 4. She had fallen off the wagon and was drinking a lot to the point where it was affecting her memory. We kept doing the same lecture on density in 6th grade science for a month, until one of my classmates decided to ask another teacher about it. From there, she went to rehab. If anyone wants more context, she was our homeroom and science teacher. She was very nice and married to our assistant principal, so she had a little bit more leeway. While she was able to remain sober for a while, she eventually passed away due to the effects of her addiction. A few years after this, she never seemed like a bad teacher, but she was always stressed to the absolute maximum. Always felt like she was working from behind and generally struggling to keep up. You know, the traditional tail end of the functioning addict lifestyle. Opinion. It really saddens me to see how messed up some people's lives are, and I have nothing else to say. It's just sad. Story 5. One of the elementary school teachers at the district I went got arrested for making his class worship him like he was a cult leader. He was totally bonkers. Opinion. A teacher acting like a cult leader is a serious breach of trust, and his firing was necessary to protect students. I just hope he doesn't level up and become a real cult leader. Story 6. He didn't come to parent-teacher interview night. The next day, he was late for class and crashed his pickup into a brick sign outside the school. Cops showed up obviously, and allegedly he blew twice the legal limit. He called the principal the C word as he was taken away. Opinion. Well, at least he went out in style. Story 7. Our beloved teacher, Mr. Mon, had worked there for 29 years without incident and was one of the best teachers there. His classroom was always a laugh riot. He was the best roaster and encouraged us to roast him properly. He never failed to get us motivated, and a lot of us owe our career inspiration from him. He was fired because he had jokingly smacked a student on the back of his head for making a stupid comment. It was like something out of a sitcom, and all of us expected it and loved it. Yet one student who was new at the school was culture shocked by this. He thought it was strange but hilarious. He told his mom offhand, and his mom became the Karen. Never mind that the student was the teacher's godson. No physical contact was allowed, says the Karen. He was suspended with pay for 3 months pending investigation, then was let go because the Karen twisted the story, and it blew up around the school. A year later, the teacher won both the lawsuit against the school and libel case against the Karen, with her son being one of the key witnesses. We still keep in contact and roast him for getting rich over smacking kids around. Opinion. And this is why many professionals turn bitter and stop giving their best at work. At the end of the day, it not only doesn't pay off, but you can also be punished over it. I swear, people should stop using the judicial system over things like that. It's great he ultimately prevailed legally, but it's a shame that a single incident overshadowed his years of dedication. Story 8. He was a wonderful, friendly, and handsome teacher. This girl had a crush. Some witch told the teacher about this girl's crush. The teacher felt awkward and avoided her eyes from then on. Girl got hurt? complained to the principal that he was being creepy with her. All the heads, which included my father, were called for a meeting with him. He got sick of defending himself, shouted "F you all," and left the school. They fired him before he could hand out his resignation. Edit. To clarify some things, it was one of the best schools and all the rich kids studied there. I studied because my father was a faculty. Otherwise, we didn't have so much money, and hence teachers were dealt with very harshly. On the occasion, a teacher was fired only because it seemed on the cameras that he hit a boy hard. The parents complained and he was fired the next day, without listening to him at all. My father knew that he just petted him, but the kid was spoiled and he lied. Also, the teacher was a junior one. Nothing happened to the girls. Our instructional council might have talked to them, but I don't know about that. They graduated fine, no problem. I got to know about this incident later. When I was there, I just knew that he knew she had a crush on him, and that he left one day. I mentioned my father so that you will know how I know what happened in the meeting. He just knew that a girl had a complaint, and now they are called. Also, the teacher we are talking about was every student's favorite. So other teachers were jealous and they all assumed he was very lenient and encouraged us to not follow other teachers and stuff. So it might have made it hard for him to say he stayed professional always. Opinion. How many innocent people need to have their lives ruined by false allegations until a change is made in this corrupt system? This is disgusting. Story 9. He pushed some stupid kid who hit him against a wall. Opinion. When you sign up to be a teacher, you need to keep in mind that getting physical with a student is never acceptable. So even though he was provoked, he should have kept calm and proceeded with the appropriate forms of punishment that are regulated by the school. Story 10. My AP Chem teacher had an affair with the principal. The principal got fired too. I felt bad for her. They didn't do anything on school property, and it didn't impact her performance in the classroom. Also, the school wasn't able to find a qualified teacher to replace her halfway through the year, so we were all effed come test time at the end of the year. None of us passed the AP test. Opinion. I think dating a subordinate is very risky. Even if the affair didn't affect her teaching, it can lead to favoritism and unnecessary problems. It's usually best to avoid workplace relationships to keep things professional. Story 11. He was playing his guitar for students at my elementary school. He had been warned before, but the kids enjoyed it, so he continued to play it for them anyway. One day, the assistant principal was lurking in the hallway and wandered to his classroom. She saw him playing his guitar and fired him on the spot. A whole lot of students were crying that day because he was an amazing guy. Edit. More information. This took place in a small, rural town in Georgia back in the early 2000s. He wasn't the music teacher. He just used to bring his guitar and play songs randomly on some days, and the kids enjoyed it. He had been warned multiple times by his higher-ups. Why? I don't know. He was a great teacher. He thought that before the break he could play something for us. One last time during the last week of school. It just happened to be the worst possible timing. While the assistant principal was walking through the halls, he didn't come back to teach at our school when classes started again. If I recall, he got a job teaching at a different school. Opinion. This is a really sad situation. It is a shame that something so enjoyable for the kids led to his firing. I guess fun isn't allowed in school. It's truly a loss for both him and his students. Story 12. My sociology teacher in high school was fired for throwing a chalkboard eraser at a sleeping student's head. He was a great teacher and always did this in good humor. Obviously, not a great idea in retrospect, but we all knew that we could always get away with sleeping in his class if we didn't mind getting an eraser upside the head if he noticed. I heard he was fired a few years after I graduated high school, and that kinda bummed me out. Probably deserving of a reprimand of some sort, but getting fired is too much. It's not like he was a child toucher or a guitar player. Opinion. He didn't deserve to be fired. Reprimand would suffice. Some kid likely had a bad day and chose to ruin a great teacher's career. Story 13. She was always drunk and drinking during class. She would leave us to cry in the bathroom. Opinion. This is concerning. A teacher drinking in class gives a bad example to students and creates a toxic environment. Maybe if she had taken some time off to get her life straight before returning to teaching, she would still have her job. Story 14. I heard a rumor that my favorite teacher from ninth grade got fired when I was in 10th grade because he left his class unattended. Opinion. That's such a petty reason to get fired over. Teachers are people too. What if he just had to use the toilet or something? Story 15. A co-worker teacher got fired 2 weeks into the new semester when instead of uploading a video related to this subject, he accidentally continued a previously paused hardcore female-on-female scene on the big interactive screen. The computer he was using was slow, so he couldn't quickly exit the video. It went on for a good 30 seconds before someone pulled the plug on the screen. Around the same time, he lobbed the laptop around 30 feet across the class. Opinion. Man, that's wild. While it was an honest mistake, it's understandable why he got fired though. Maybe don't use your work computer for such activities next time. Story 16. Oh boy, where to start? An elementary school nurse was fired for taking the kids' medications. High school band teacher slept with a 15-year-old. The swim coach left a hotel that he was at with his mistress, drunk, and unalived someone with his car. My high school had like 400 students. Opinion. The range of serious issues, education theft, inappropriate relationships, and a tragic accident that could have been totally avoided. I wonder what kind of consequences children brought up in this kind of environment would have in their adult lives. Story 17. She embezzled thousands of dollars from various club funds. There were also rumors of her sleeping with students, but the administration never bothered to look into that. Opinion. I wonder what other things she did get away with. Story 18. Our principal was escorted out by two police. To find out it was because he was caught committing fraud. He would assign students to classes without telling them to, make it seem there were more kids in, let's say, the art department so that the department would receive more funding from the government to continue. He meant well, but students caught on. When we moved to college and transcripts from high school had a whole page, Fs or withdrawals, it really messed us up. About 2 weeks later, he unalived himself, left behind a wife and kids. It really hit me hard because I almost dropped out of school after two of my friends unalived themselves. He was the one that got me counseling, helped me graduate, and encouraged me to go to college. I would not be here if it weren't for him. It just really hurt to know that while he was helping me accomplish that, he did the same thing only a month or two later. We planted trees for him to remember him by. Rest in peace, Mr. Woodcroft. You meant well. Opinion. The principal's misguided actions came from a good intention to support the school. His self-deletion shows the immense pressure he faced, and it's heartbreaking to know he struggled while helping you. Unfortunately, you're forced to be self-serving in this world, and if he focused on taking care of his own family while not caring about his students, he probably would still be alive. Story 19. Teachers at my high school got fired on a pretty regular basis. Principal was a narcissist. But here's one of the rare ones we actually heard about. The school went into lockdown because someone was seen hopping over the fence onto campus at the start of the school day. The freshman geography teacher locked his door, didn't control his class, wouldn't let one of the students back in, and jumped at every sound he heard. For comparison, the sub in senior literature next door didn't have a key to lock the door, but grabbed the handle, got on the floor, and planted both his feet on the frame so that the door couldn't be opened. I think the dude was a linebacker for football too. Opinion. I can't imagine feeling this unsafe at school. That place is already stressful enough as is, and the added threat of a crazy person invading the school to unalive people must make things much worse. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the bell button to receive notifications to my latest videos.